over it and get straight to the part where they both go to the tower to save Marie. When they reach there, Philo notices Lloyd running towards them and she jumps down and challenges him to a fight like a maniac. Lloyd gives the sword to Alan and tells him to keep it safe, and then decides to face Philo in all seriousness. Jumps in with a strong punch and a kick and says that she wanted to become his apprentice, but now she wants to fight him to death, and starts laughing like some crazy person. He accepts her challenge and says that he wants her to tell him where Marie is if he wins. She agrees and they both start facing each other. Lloyd thinks back to his childhood and remembers that back in his village a girl once slapped his wrist and broke his arm, so there's no way he can fight Philo. He looks around to make it a fair match somehow for himself and decides on challenging her to an arm wrestling match. He says that back in his village his grandpa, used to tell him that in their village all serious quarrels are resolved by arm wrestling, and he wants to honor that custom. Philo asks him about the name of his village and he says it's Kunlun. Hearing this, she gets excited and accepts his conditions. Their arm wrestling match starts off just like the one between Tsunade and the Raikaji, as they both seem evenly matched. The crate beneath their arms breaks away and they jump in the air to continue their match. Philo manages to gain the upper hand and starts pushing Lloyd's arm down, but then he uses a wind spell and launches them both to the ground and ends up winning the arm wrestling match by touching her hand down. With that, their battle comes to an end and Philo accepts defeat. But then she holds his hands and tells him to let her have his kids, and says that if he is really from Kunlun then he is the right match for her, as she has been seeking a strong man. Meanwhile, Alan is running away with the sword and is getting hunted down by the student who reported to Raul. He refuses to let the sword go because Lloyd entrusted him with it, and fortunately, Mina arrives on the scene and puts the guy down and says that she is there to delay Raul's plans because she insulted her sister and used her as a tool. Later on, they meet up with Lloyd and Philo and she explains the situation about Marie as well, revealing that she didn't kidnap her. At the same time, Raul is looking at them from a distance and she starts thrashing around in front of the crystal, calling them all useless morons. Just then, Alka teleports in and asks her where Lloyd is, and when she fails to tell her what she wants to hear and calls her a pipsqueak, Alka blows her out of the tower with a strong magic blast and lets her fall into the river with her crispy burnt ass. Alan looks at her and decides to jump in and save her as a righteous soldier. The next morning, he makes the news on the front page as a model soldier, and Raul is taken to the hospital where Riho is staying. She thinks back on her childhood and how she wanted to help the orphanage grow and to make Riho happy, and wonders where she went wrong. Meanwhile, we see a white-haired man casting a memory-altering spell on her, and he later turns out to be someone who wants to take revenge from Alka. Some days later, in a forest near the kingdom, people start going into a coma for an unknown reason. No one has died yet, but the symptoms prove to be similar to that of a treant attack. To that end, the kingdom sends in various adventurers and military personnel to investigate the cause